military hardships. This will be a direct threat to our national security. And that's there's two quotes here. That's Dmitry Rogozin, Russian deputy prime minister and former envoy to NATO. And there's another quote in here by their foreign, their ambassador to the U.S. There's a whole bunch of these quotes. I mean, this is dangerous. And just like World War I or World War II, it's not even a big news item. People are talking about this cruise ship sinking in the Mediterranean off the coast of Italy and 5 dead. They're talking about, you know, the Washington Redskins, the San Francisco 49ers. And then meanwhile, folks, if there's a war with Iran, bare minimum, you're paying $7 a gallon for gas in a couple weeks. All right, your phone call's coming up, then the big news.
Look at your young men fighting.
In the final equation, it's really simple. The New World Order is a group of finance oligarchs that control the issuance of currency and credit through fractional reserve money-changing fraud. The derivatives are an example of that. Just absolutely worthless, but they have governments sign you on to pay taxes to back up the derivatives, so now they have value. And instead of going to jail, the big mega banks, all 6 of them that created this fraud, take over the world and abolish national sovereignty and sell everyone on the fact that your taxes have to go up and your liberties have to go away in the new age of austerity so that they, the technocratic bankers who engineered all this, can run your life. And because the general public has been raised in front of a television set believing who wins the football game is all that matters, it's not even a language that people speak. And so they're like dodo birds. I like to use this analogy of sailors arriving on the island, and the dodo birds have never had natural predators, so they just sat there and let the sailors club them in the head and eat them. That's kind of like people in America or folks that are under Western mind control. We just have no idea what tyranny looks like because we never lived under it. And I'm going to go to your calls, but I was at a barbecue joint last night that I like, Pokey Joe's in South Austin with my wife and children. And they had the little back room closed off for a group of people, but there was a curtain right there. I could see what was going on because it was only partially closed, howling and screaming for an hour over a football game, an NFL football game. And, of course, I don't pay attention. I'm not cool, but I could see through the crack in the facade there that the 49ers were one of the teams. And then later they opened up the curtains and men were strutting around, pumped up, and there was screaming and yelling and children rolling on the floor and howling. And when someone made a touchdown, it was these men were coming in and out, and their children and wives were, and the wives all had incredibly serious looks on their faces, and they were praying and for field goals to make it, and you would think that their family was in a gladiatorial fight for their lives with battle axes or something. And I'll guarantee you, if I walked up to those folks and said, hey, did you know that most major vaccines have cancer viruses added to them? Here's some documents. Or would you like to know that all over the U.S. in the last 8 months, radiation levels have gone off the charts? Here's a new report about it today, but the government's not saying take precautions. They'd look at me like I had 100 heads. Or if I said, hey, did you know the government has just passed a law to allow the secret arrest of U.S. citizens or even the killing of U.S. citizens, and no one even knows you're arrested or killed? The essence of tyranny, the total overthrow of our Declaration of Independence and Constitution. Guarantee they would have looked at me like I was a man from Mars. But if I'd have walked in there, because they were cheering for the 49ers, and said, how about them 49ers? That would have been an embrace of family, of tribalism, of love. All completely shallow, all completely fake, all completely just a veneer, cheap, means nothing, globalist propaganda, pumped in, fake tribalism. People don't have a Bill of Rights, a Constitution, a free market, a family. None of that is what you'll fight for. No, because all day you can wear your favorite team's jersey and strut around and bug your eyes out and primitively jump up and down like a gorilla for your team. It's pure mind control. And these people are not even living in the real world. But coming up later, I'm going to get into the draconian legislation, the internet censorship, what we face and the reason we have hardship and the reason that our prosperity is leaving the building. Elvis has left the building. Freedom and prosperity are leaving the building. Because, see, when freedom leaves, you never have prosperity. Freedom, economic, social, religious, all of it. It's the bellwether. It's the hallmark. It's the indicator. And it's leaving the building. Kind of like at the dog pound. Dogs that people don't want. At the dog pound, they don't strap them down and give them shots to kill them like your little puppy. Whenever you come into the vet, that's too expensive to give them a $5 shot. They just fill a big chamber, cram them full of animals, and then flip a lever and the oxygen is sucked out and they suffocate them. It's essentially free. It's a pressure chamber. They just suck the oxygen out. But, you know, when you go to kill your dog, because it's in pain or whatever, I understand. When you go to euthanize it, you want to hold it and everything, and they give it the shot and everything, and there's that moment. They don't throw Sparky in the chamber and where you can see it screaming and yelping and begging. Some of them use carbon monoxide, too. I mean, you don't want to see it begging and gnashing and all of that. No, it's the America is kind of being given a lethal injection, too. And then there's a whole ceremony to it. But my point, the analogy of the euthanasia is that our country is just slowly having its liberties, its freedoms sucked out like oxygen. And so we're now blue in the face. And you'll find in Rome and Nazi Germany and so many other corrupt, declining systems run by thugs that as things get worse, people will cling to sports even more. They won't riot over losing their liberties or the cops shooting an unarmed kid in the back. No, they'll riot when their team loses or wins. Because, see, men don't go out and engage in combat against some tribe trying to enslave them. No, they go into a parking lot and beat some baseball fan's brains out. See, that's our value now. And it's scientific. And Edward Bernays, 80 years ago, wrote books about how they would sell sports, not just to children, but adults, and let men spend their tribal and manly energies on a facsimile. I've used the analogy of it's the difference between actually having a wife and a woman you love and then actually you procreate with and create new beings with. And the system says, no. You don't need an actual wife. Here's a blow-up doll. That's what sports is for men. Here's a blow-up doll. Do you want one with black hair or blonde hair? And that's it. And then I go to these men and I say, I have a book here, scientific, to manipulate you and make you only be concerned about petty things and paint yourself up in fake tribal colors. Why are you hyperventilating over your team right now? I mean, even if you have a big bet on it, why is this all that's valuable to you? Manhood is teaching your children about liberties and freedoms and history and how to plant a garden, how to clean a gun, how to fix an engine. Why do you just all day strut around and they'll look at you and say, listen, I don't want the real Marilyn Monroe to be, I don't want to be a real man. I don't want to live in a real republic with real responsibilities. Give me the blow-up doll. And so listen, this radio show is not for men that want blow-up dolls, or women for that matter. Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Time. That's 12 noon to 3 p.m. Eastern. I'm here on the radio. And that's not enough. I come back for 2 hours every Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Central as well. That's 2 to 4 Pacific, 3 to 5 Mountain. Okay, I said I'd go to your calls in this hour, and I'm going to them right now. And then coming up, controversial online privacy bill shelved until census is found. A consensus is found. This is a playing possum operation trying to pass the SOPA bill and the IP bill to censor the internet. I know their tricks. Going to be breaking that down. Also, we'll get into S&P cuts ratings in 9 Eurozone nations. They cut it down to U.S. level. Fed to weigh further easing amid doubt about recovery. That's going to be the QE3. We thought that would happen by December. And I talked to my sources. They said, well, now it's going to happen by February. And here's CNBC. That means hyperinflation. We've got a bunch of news on the cashless society. And that means they can take fines and fees out without even asking you. Kind of like Bank of America wanting $5 every time you use your bank card. That's all coming up. Also, some dirty tricks against Ron Paul. But I'm going to cover that next hour. That's when all the big news, and we'll continue with your calls then. Right now, let's hurry through your calls. Have your question and comment ready. Let's move to the next person, because I've got, I got about 100 people here online, from Aaron to Jenna and everybody in between. Aaron in Illinois, you're on the air. Welcome.
Thank you, Alex. How are you?
Good, sir. Thank you for calling on a Sunday.
Hey, this is great. I'm glad to finally be on your show. I've been a Prisonplanet member for about 2 years now. You woke me up about 2 years ago when I was driving through Texas, and I love you, man. You're doing a great job. I wanted to thank you and all your crew, and just say that, you know, everybody needs to get behind Ron Paul. I agree with, you know, the new, the latest article there on InfoWars from Paul Craig Roberts. You know, this is our last chance. You know, everybody gets behind him. I support him.
By the way, I intend to read that article coming up in the next hour. That's the first article I'm going to cover. America's Last Chance. Paul Craig Roberts, former head of the Department of the Treasury, father of Reaganomics, former Wall Street Journal editor, breaking that down. And then I also have this other article, since you mentioned Ron Paul, coming up. You remember with Rand, how they had the Democratic challenger guy he was running against? His employees would dress up as hayseeds and then go out and say racist stuff and hold up racist signs. Well, they've caught him again with Ron Paul dressing people up as Ku Klux Klan members, and it turns out that's Republican Party doing that. So there's going to be some dirty tricks, my friend.
Yeah, that's a shame. So I wanted to thank you.
Well, they're not going to turn loose of power easily, brother, Aaron. But I mean, listen, you got the floor. You said you've been waiting years to get on. Go ahead.
Well, like I said, you talked about dodo birds there before. I used to be one of those dodo birds. I used to be back there. Right now I'd be watching, NFL football, 2 or 3 years ago. But now it's not like that anymore. I've woken up, and you said it many times, reality is a lot more exciting than what you see on TV. It
certainly is. God bless you.
They give you.
God bless you, Aaron. And again, folks, I played football in high school. I ran track. I swam. Won blue ribbons almost every time in Dallas. Okay? Yeah, Mr. Blue Ribbon. Mr. Blue Ribbon. Got 50 of them or more. Sports themselves are great. That's wonderful, wholesome, healthy if you're in the game. Or if your family member is on the field. That's completely different. I had nothing against high school football, any of that. But when I watch grown adults only care in a sycophantic way about NFL, about NBA, about PGA, about all of this, and it's everything to them, and then you notice as a byproduct they don't care about any serious issues. I mean, it's life and death to them. They're living vicariously through it, and I want to see you live. I want to see you be a champion at business, a champion parent. I want to be that as well. I mean, it's hard to raise good